Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. Welcome to another Quran moment. Today is now the fourth day of Ramadan. Please don't forget the Ummah in your du'as, inshaAllah. Let's begin by saying the isti'adha, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, and just reciting the ayah that's here. Ayah number 14 and 15 from Surah Al-Baqarah. وإذا لقوا الذين آمنوا قالوا آمنا وإذا خلوا إلى شياطينهم قالوا إنا معكم إنما نحن مستهزئون الله يستهزئ بهم ويمدهم في طغيانهم يعمهون. Okay, let's go through the meanings bit by bit. First of all, the background, these ayat are talking about the interaction of the munafiqeen, the hypocrites, with the Muslims. So the first bit of the interaction that's highlighted is وَإِذَا لَقُوا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا. And when they meet, لَقُوا means to meet, those who believe. What do they say? قَالُوا آمَنَّا. They say we believe. So in their interactions, when they're meeting them in their houses, in the offices, in their places of work, at school, universities, they come across as normal people who are normal believers. And why are they emphasizing this? Because outwardly they are Muslim, so there's no need for them to restate this. But people look at them and they are wondering, so they're trying to emphasize that their hearts believe, and so they're trying to emphasize, yes, look, I'm a believer as well. But وَإِذَا خَلَوْا إِلَى شَيَاطِينِهِمْ. But when they are alone with their evil ones. خَلَوْ is the word which means alone, when you're with somebody and there's nobody else able to listen or hear what you're saying. وَإِذَا خَلَوْا إِلَى شَيَاطِينِهِمْ. Now, who are these shayateen? The word shaitan literally means devil. But here, the Mufassirin explain, it means they're leaders. Hence, if you look at the translation here, it's translated as evil ones. It's not translated as devils. Okay, so the word shaitan is used by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran to label the leaders of the munafiqeen. They're called devils because of their evil intent, their stubbornness, and their willingness to obstruct people from the truth. Let's compare and contrast two things here. In the ayah above it says وَإِذَا لَقُوا الَّذِينَ, when they meet the believers, but when they are talking to their leaders, it's خَلَوْا إِلَى شَيَاطِينِهِمْ. Of course, when you meet somebody at an office, there is a degree of relationship between you and that person, but it's not as close as somebody who spends time alone with somebody who's very close or discusses things at night. That degree of relationship with that other person is much greater. You can see that with your own friend circle. There are some friends you spend some time with, and there are other friends you may spend a lot of time with, go to their house, stay with them even in late hours of the night. So there's a contrast. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is contrasting the difference in how these people interact with some people and how they interact with their leaders. So what do they say to them? They say, قَالُوا إِنَّا مَعَكُمْ. They say, indeed we are with you. What does this ma'a mean? Inna ma'akum literally means with. But what is understood by that is that we are with you in your way of life, in your religion. We are not really Muslims, we are with you in your way of life. So they reply, they're presumably being asked by their leaders, but why are you spending time with the Muslims? So they reply, Innama nahnu mustahzi'un. We are only mocking them. We were only mockers. Why do they have to say that? Because they just want to justify to their leaders, don't misunderstand us, we sit with the Muslims, we're with them, but we're actually with you. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala responds in ayah number 15 here, Allahu yastahzi'u bihim, but Allah is the one who actually istahza'a bihim, mocks them is the translation given here. What does the word mock actually mean? Well, for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, some of the ulama point out that mockery does not befit Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because it means you outwardly accept what you think is wrong. When you mock somebody, just like the munafiqeen outwardly mock the Muslims, they outwardly accept that Islam is right, but inwardly they don't. But that does not befit Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because then it's accepting something wrong. So they understand this. They say وَسُمِّيَ ذَلِكَ الاستهزاء على سبيل المشاكلة. There's something called mushakala. Mushakala means similarity in wording that is used, but it's not meant to mean the same thing as the word. So there's an example. In the Quran it says وَجَزَاءُ سَيِّئَةٍ سَيِّئَةٌ مِثْلُهَا. The jaza, the reward of something evil, is an evil which is equivalent. Okay? But this second evil here is well known that it's not evil, but it is a response to the first wrong. In other words, it's recompensation. And recompensation is not evil, but the word evil is used because the word evil was used here. Likewise, because the munafiqeen said that we are doing istihza, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala used the word istihza and said, well, actually it's being done to you. An interesting point here to point out is when the munafiqeen are speaking, they use the word mustahzi'un, which is a noun. Whereas when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is speaking, Allahu yastahzi'u bihim, that's a verb. So nouns in Arabic are here talking about a single point event, whereas when it's the mudari', when it's the present tense of the verb, it's talking about something that's continuous. So while the munafiqeen are only capable of actually mocking the believers at a single time, the result of that action from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is continuous. This also shows how honorable a believer is to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. As the ulama pointed out, وَهَذَا دَلِيلٌ عَلَى غِيرَةِ اللَّهِ عَلَى عِبَادِهِ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the believer in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is a very honorable thing. And the reason why the munafiqeen are being punished here is because they are behaving badly with the believers. They are mocking them. وَإِنْتِقَامُهُم مِّن كُلِّ يَسْتَهْزِئُ بِهِمْ أَوْ يُؤْذِيهِمْ. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will take revenge from people who mock the believers or hurt them. So the ayah continues. What else is their punishment? وَيَمُدُّهُمْ فِي طُغْيَانِهِمْ يَعْمَهُونَ. Mad means to prolong, to extend, and prolongs them in their tughyan, transgression, يَعْمَهُونَ, while they wander blindly. Some interesting words here. The word tughyan. Tughyan literally means mujawazat al-had. It means to overstep the boundaries. وَمِنْهُ طَغَى الْمَاء. An example of that is in Nuh alayhi salam. Talking about Nuh alayhi salam, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala used the same word, طَغَى. إِنَّا لَمَّا طَغَى الْمَاء. Indeed, when the water, طَغَى, overstepped its boundaries, i.e. there was a flood. حَمَلْنَاكُمْ. We carried you, i.e. human beings, the original human beings, fil jariyah, in a ship. So here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describes these people, وَيَمُدُّهُمْ, and their punishment, فِي طُغْيَانِهِمْ. Allah allows them to continue carrying on in their tughyan, in their overstepping the boundaries of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, their lack of respect, their disbelief in Allah, and their false impression that they are actually Muslim on the outside. All of this is tagha, and so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala described them as tughyan. وَيَمُدُّهُمْ فِي طُغْيَانِهِمْ يَعْمَهُونَ. And يَعْمَهُونَ is a really interesting word. So what does amiha mean? يَعْمَهُونَ comes from the word amiha. Okay, don't confuse this with ama or umyan, which means blindness. To understand this word, here's a very good example of this word being used in modern Arabic, but it's based on the classical meaning. Amahun harakiyun. Amahun harakiyun is the name of a disease called apraxia in medicine, and it's a disease where this picture nicely illustrates this. It's a person who's been asked to comb his hair, and he understands the thing, he can see the comb, he has full ability to move his hands, but he's unable to put all the actions together. So he's trying to comb his hair, but the comb is upside down. And so he's unable to put it all together. Likewise, the munafiqeen have this amah. And the Mufassirin explained that as يتحيرون ويترددون بين الإظهار والإخفاء. They're not too sure. Should I accept Islam completely, or should I hide it? أو بين البقاء على الكفر وتركه إلى الإيمان. They're always in this kind of halfway situation. They want to stay with the Muslims sometimes, but they want to hide their kufr. At the same time, they think, well, sometimes maybe I should just openly declare that I'm non-Muslim. So they are unable to come to a single decision. They are like this person who has the ability to see everything. They understand, they see Islam, they see what they have to do, but they're unable to put it together and come to a decision. Yes, Islam, or no to Islam. So let's just recap what we learnt. Number one, these two ayat are talking about the hypocrites and their interaction with two types of people, the believers and their own leaders. And you saw the difference in the closeness, the proximity of their interactions with Muslims and their leaders. Um, the hypocrites themselves here in this ayat are actually confirming. Remember, they say, قَالُوا إِنَّا مَعَكُمْ. In other words, in your religion, they're confirming that they themselves are non-Muslims. Allah has described their leaders as devils, not because they're actual devils, but because of their very stubborn attitude in their anti-Islamic stance. The ayat show the honor of a believer and how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala take revenge when the believers are humiliated or hurt. And the punishment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is much greater. Remember, we talked about the verb versus the noun, but it's also much more subtle. So in fact, the hypocrites think they're actually doing a great job and they're winning, and the believers don't have a clue what's going on. But in fact, at that very moment, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is punishing them. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the tawfiq to understand the Quran and increase in our depth of understanding of the Quran. وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين.